Yom Tov, that's Hebrew for a good day. I'm Stephen Bruck. This is Messianic Moment Ministries. And today we're talking about this Shabbat's Parashah reading from the Torah, which is called the Re'eh, which means to see or behold. And the Parashah is a continuation of Moses' discourses, now going into the second of three discourses in this book of Deuteronomy. This one concentrating on the laws that he has been giving the people all along. He tells the people when they enter the land to write a blessing on Mount Gerizim and a curse on Mount Ebal. He orders that all the pagan people and their altars be completely destroyed, and that the Israelites are not to follow any of their practices. And when the Israelites sacrifice to God, it must be done at the place where God puts his name. Now, initially, this was the tent of meeting that was placed in Shiloh during the times of the judges. Later, King David moves it to Jerusalem, and after Solomon finished the temple, that was, and it still is, the only place where God has set his name. Moses warns about false prophets and those who entice others to worship the pagan Semitic gods of the people who live there. He states that anyone, even a close family member, who tries to apostatize the people must be put to death. He again warns the people not to do whatever they think is right, but to follow God's instructions. And this parsha ends with Moses reiterating the laws regarding kashrut, which are the kosher laws, the rules regarding the Jubilee year, and the rules regarding the Moedim, which is Hebrew for holy days. Now, when I read the passage that's in chapter 12, it's verse 8, I was struck by how it is exactly what I read more than once in the book of Judges called Shoftim. And that passage, and I'm going to just tell you what it says straight out of my Chumash, says, "Ye shall not do after all that we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes." And when we read Judges in 17:6 and 21:25, we are told this is exactly what the people did. We're told that there was no king in Israel, and every man did whatever seemed right in their own eyes. And throughout the book of Judges, the people bob up and down like a log on a wavy ocean, going from proper worship to paganism, from subjugation to rulership, back and forth over and over, depending on, what phase their worship they were in at the time. When they did what God said to do, they were blessed and protected. But then they got haughty and prideful. They did what they wanted to do, and they were cursed and conquered. After being enslaved by one of their enemies for a while, they did teshuvah, which means turning from sin. They pleaded for God to rescue them, and he sent a judge to do just that. And then they repeated the same pattern. This is still happening today. Those, and not just Israelites, those who profess to be doing what they know to be right, which goes against God's word, seem to be victorious for a while, but in the end, they end up in trouble. There's always someone, some country, some leader doing wrong and stating that it is what they must do because it is the right thing to do. I learned a long time ago that people don't mean what they say. They mean what they do. When someone is doing what they know to be right, if they haven't first confirmed that action as being in accordance with God's instructions, then no matter what they say their motivation is, it is simply them doing what seems right in their own eyes. And the Bible teaches us, undoubtedly, that when we do what is right in our own eyes, we are wrong. We are told that precisely in Proverbs 14:12, and again later in Proverbs 16:25. In fact, I guess it's such an important lesson, they had to tell us twice. And what that says, and it's almost word for word in both of them, is that there can be a way which seems right to a person, but at its end are the ways of death. Too many people say they are doing what is right, but it is really only what they want to do. They make lame excuses or create their own facts to justify their actions. But in the end, it always comes to trouble. In this parsha, we're also told to beware of false prophets, and that we will know them as such when what they say doesn't come about, or when their intent of their prophecy, in other words, what they're telling us, is that we should worship other gods. Maybe we should look to the people telling us what to do today as being prophets. When we are told what to do, let's say, for instance, to contain this virus we're in the middle of, yet 5 months later, a 2-week gestational period virus is still running rampant, well, is what we are being told really the right thing? When people say they are protesting against racial inequality, but by doing so, they're burning, looting, rioting, and murdering people, and mostly those who are the ones they are supposedly protecting the rights of, can we say that is right in God's eyes? Or is it that they are really just doing what they want to do? People, we must use discernment and we must judge correctly, not based on what we feel is right, but based solely on what God says is right. And what he says is right here, in the Torah. Look, let's finish with this. Decide for yourself if you will follow what people say is right or what God says is right, because you will be held accountable for what you do, no matter who told you to do it. So, that's it for this week. I want to thank you again for being here. Please subscribe. The icon's here. Go back to the website. Go back to the website. Click the right margin subscribe button. And I always welcome your comments. So until next time, Vihitrot and Shabbat Shalom.